Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code DNVR when you sign up for a new account to get amazing odds boosts every single day. We got most of us here, no Blaze, but everybody else.
Classic Blaze.
He's hanging out with his kids.
Yeah, he's got real adult jobs to do today.
Yeah.
So
Classic Blaze looking for
being
another
a
8
good
o'clock
father.
start. Another 8 o'clock start, and wouldn't you know it? Now his kids have a game that he can't miss. Isn't that amazing? Unbelievable.
I feel like spoken by someone who has no kids for sure.
That's right.
He's just getting those kids sick now.
Yeah, I was gonna say
true.
It wasn't enough to get us sick. Now he has to get his own kids sick. Unbelievable, Blaze. I know you're sitting at home watching this and you're not actually busy.
Avs.
I will say I have loved the retconning of Andrei Burakovsky's time in Colorado over the last 24
About
hours.
how good he was and how everyone hated him
About
anyway.
the perception of him in Colorado. It's all glowing now, and it's all like happy, fun feelings, but that is not how people felt when he was here. It has been very interesting to watch. We can move on.
There's a lot of weird stuff like this to get to today. We never really talked about it. Nathan MacKinnon named an all-star.
Q.
I mean, not that he doesn't deserve it, but feels weird that he got voted in this year.
When we were all talking about will it be Mikko or Kale, and we had said, well, probably both because Kale is just kind of now in that tier where he just gets in no matter what. Again, good for Nate. I didn't think he was at that tier where he just goes no matter.
Hard to do that when you
15
miss
games.
Yeah,
Not one of us had a conversation about Nathan MacKinnon making
No,
All-Star game.
and that wasn't even like he's having a great year.
Yeah.
He's just I thought
He's on a 100-point pace.
right. I just thought it was one of those like unwritten rule things that if you've missed like a certain chunk of the season that you just don't go to All-Star.
I feel like it was out of respect to who Nathan MacKinnon is, too, and he's the last person I feel would want to go to the All-Star game.
yeah.
I also think
the last person that would want to go? Yeah.
I think it also really helps that if you look around the Central Division,
It sucks.
So
like what other forward are you going to want to vote in? Because Dallas doesn't have anybody. St. Louis doesn't have anybody.
Can
all
they
their
just
20 goal
send
scorers are
Jason
gone.
Robertson twice? Is that
Like the Nashville, all their guys now are just names and not meaningful players at the moment. Like you're talking about where does it come from? And Nathan MacKinnon is sitting right there to be voted on. It made sense when I looked at it. I was still surprised by it.
everyone was saying that ballots were rigged. I didn't think so. I thought that all looked.
Yeah, you know who really thought the ballots were rigged was Senators and Canadiens fans who watched Austin Matthews get named over Tim Stützle and Cole Caulfield and felt slighted.
Right.
Yeah, I don't
Austin
understand
Matthews,
that.
David Pastrnak, and Andrei Vasilevsky were the Atlantic guys.
Seems reasonable.
And those two fan bases melted down yesterday.
I
I had no idea why rigged was trending, and I clicked on it with great apprehension. And there was, some Kari Lake stuff in there. And then it was a bunch of Caulfield and Tim Stützle.
when I looked at those lists, I saw people like, oh, the NHL clearly rigged this. I went and looked at the lists, and I was like,
None of this
giving
feels rigged.
team success and fan base size, all of this adds up to me in terms of fan vote.
And
Like, all of this makes sense.
well, and you're talking about like a top goalie of the generation. You're talking about it's Austin Matthews. And David
Right.
Pastrnak is like third in the league in scoring. Like,
Right. The one that blew my mind was, who was it? Someone was mad about Adam Fox getting in over.
Okay, well that's dumb no matter who it is.
Yeah. You're already dumb.
But it was someone that, like, when I was reading it, I was like, this almost reads the opposite. Like, it's crazy that Adam Fox almost didn't get in because of this person.
The only one I'm genuinely a little bit disappointed by is it's games in Florida and no Sasha Barkov. Seems dumb.
Play better.
I mean, he's played fine. He's just been hurt.
Well, but again, like the fan vote thing, like that's if there's one thing that Avs fans have shown, they will go hard as fuck about every year. It's getting their players into the All-Star game. So, like, from that perspective, I guess I actually shouldn't be surprised that Nate made it in. He never even crossed my mind as a possibility.
Same.
And then to your point, AJ, I guess as much as we're saying it, who else would have gone.
Between Mikko Rantanen and Connor Hellebuck, two of those felt very, very, very obvious. And then it was like, who's going to be the third central guy?
Yeah.
Because is Kaprizov already going?
Yes,
Yeah,
he's
right.
Minnesota's guy. Robertson is Dallas's guy. Nashville ended up getting Saros, which is why Hellebuck had to be voted in the first place. So that took a roster spot. Josh Morrissey was Winnipeg's guy, so the obvious vote-in candidate from Winnipeg, had it been Hellebuck as the goalie,
Would have been
Morrissey.
Yeah.
So it was the whole thing was it was just an interesting process this year with the way that the rosters are too small. The requirement that everybody send somebody, like, it drives me crazy that Clayton Keller has more All-Star appearances than Mikko Rantanen. It drives me crazy.
Agree. We do have to move forward a little bit here. Another bit of odd news, though. Cale Makar, full participant in practice, not playing tonight. A little weird or whatever about it?
They're just being safe.
Okay.
You know, with the back-to-back tomorrow, they're giving him the extra day, whatever. Like, it's just extra caution. Every single time Cale Makar's been hurt, they've done this.
Yeah.
They have exercised that extra day, maybe 2 days of caution. Because for me, I'm like, okay, if you're not going to play him today, don't play him tomorrow. And then you give him 2 more days off until...
And then he can play Tuesday. And
Exactly, until they're back at home. And fine.
I've
whatever.
long had this, I don't even necessarily know if it's a conspiracy theory. I think Cale is behind a lot of that. I think he speaks up when he says, I'm not comfortable, I'm not at 100%, I don't want to go. Like, and I don't mean that as like a, he doesn't want to play.
No.
But I think
Yeah.
he's very in tune with how he feels. And I think they listen to that a lot because there's no other player that they treat like this.
Yeah.
I think he said as much himself when I asked him about rest, how he personally really values rest at this point in time. And, you know, if he ends up taking on the minutes that have been asked of him, he will do that. But he really values rest. And not that I think he's just resting for the sake of resting, but it is a player that I think has identified a little bit more wear at this point and needing some time off.
Well, yeah, I don't think it's just for the sake of resting. I think it's him. And a lot of it kind of goes back to that, like his decision to not come out of college after the first year is because he didn't feel he was ready. He made that decision for himself. I think there's just a little bit of that same mentality.
Ooh, thank God
What?
that he made that decision.
Yeah, dude, fuck.
Otherwise, that contract that he'd be sitting on right now would be a lot bigger.
Yeah. Criticizing him for not coming out after 1 year is maybe like my most poorly aged take ever. But anyways, I just think that there is that mentality of, I know when I'm 100% and I can skate and I can take part in practice, but I just don't quite feel right and I want to wait another night. And I think you'd be out of your mind to not respect that
Oh, for sure.
and give him whatever the hell he wants. 'Cause if that means him taking off 1 extra night or 2 extra nights,
Yeah.
which I agree with you, like if that means that he's at 100% when he comes back or as close to it as you can be at this point in the season, then like, yeah, I agree.
Okay. Getting into the actual topics of the pregame show here, I think you can make an argument. I don't know that it would be correct, but I think you can make an argument that over this 3-game winning streak, Arturi Lehkonen has been the Avs' most important player. 6 points over 3 games, including 5 goals.
Most important, but ain't important.
I
We always try and elevate one of these guys above all the others, and it's like they work together as well as they do.
I get it, and I totally understand in the long term he's not even close to being that guy.
Even in the short term. That guy's standing in front of nets banging pucks home, but who's doing all the work before that?
Well, there was a good stretch of this season where no one was standing in front of the net banging pucks home.
Yeah.
So,
And this is where, they're so much more dangerous now with the top 6 being aligned as it is, because they can split these guys up. And you do have an Erod on the top line. You know, Lehkonen is doing all the dirty work there, and Nichushkin does a lot of the dirty work on that second line. You know, it's Arturi Lehkonen's been great. There's no taking anything away from him. He's on his way to a 20-goal season, probably 60 points. There's no complaint there. The guy's great.
I think they've found with the level of health that they are at now, I think they've found some combinations that really work well. And I think Lehkonen is, not that he's not creating anything himself, but I think he's one of the big beneficiaries of they found a combination that is really gelling well on that top line, Lehkonen, Nate, and Erod. And I just think that, the best of Lehkonen that we saw in the playoffs is showing out right now. But I'm like AJ said, I do think a lot of that comes from, one, you've been able to get a little bit of consistency in your lineup and your lines. And two, Rodriguez and MacKinnon really have some nice chemistry. And then Lehkonen's playing that role of the Landeskog role. I'll go down below the goal line into the front of the net, and he's doing it well.
All right. Let me make this argument then. Could you argue that the country of Finland is the most important country to the Avalanche right now, between Mikko and Lehkonen?
No.
Really?
I mean, Canada's pretty fucking important. MacKinnon and Toews are also hanging out right there. I'm not trying to make life difficult for you.
Well,
hey, Georgiev is technically a Finnish guy.
I know he played there, but come on.
He lives there. He lives there in the off season. That's where he goes. He goes to Finland.
I mean,
I'm trying to support your point. I don't know why you're laughing.
Landeskog lives in
Fine, I'm with AJ.
You can't,
no, forget Finland.
even
it's too late. I'm done. You lost me. I was trying to back you up.
Megan, Finland, or Canada?
Well, now this is a completely different question.
Is it?
I was prepared to talk about the value of Lehkonen.
Oh, please do that then.
He's had solid play before this. I think that in the absence of Val Nichushkin, what he brings to the lineup has been a necessary addition to the top six. But finding the offensive contributions that he's been able to these last few games has been not only important to the success of Nathan MacKinnon, who I think he complements very well because Nathan MacKinnon complements him very well, but it has just helped for this team overall to finally find some 5v5 scoring. And that's where I think Lehkonen and MacKinnon really complement one another, is they read each other very well, and that has been of such value to this team. It's in the same vein of how Evan Rodriguez has also been valuable, but I think what Lehkonen was doing prior to the offensive burst that he's seen has also been incredibly important. And now it's just a more complete game that we're seeing out of him. And it couldn't come at a better time because they still do need support up front. And, they don't see some of these multi-goal nights that they're getting if not for the rise of Lehkonen's play as of late.
The other side of that, you have Devon Toews on the defensive end, who, until Cale Makar comes back, is your number one defenseman.
Not from Finland.
Not from Finland, from Canada. It's true. It's been a bit of an up and down year for Devon. I'm not going to lie to you. There have been some stretches where I think the Avs have wanted more out of him. The offensive production hasn't quite been there all year. At the same time, the other night, he was fantastic. Great job without Cale Makar in the lineup. Where are we at with Toews going forward? Is the expectation that he's got to get to that higher level and be able to stay there? Or can the Avs live with him being a little bit up and down for now?
So I want to contextualize this a little bit. And AJ, you talked about this with someone on Twitter a couple weeks ago. And I actually talked with a couple people at the arena about this. And both people that I talked to had the response of, oh, yep, that adds up. Devon Toews is like 3 weeks removed from a newborn baby.
Yeah.
And AJ, as you pointed out on Twitter, there is a pretty solid track record of a huge dip in play immediately after having a kid. Like I said, a couple people that I talked to, they were like, yep, that tracks fully. Like, I'm writing off these next 2 weeks. And so I think his lowest point has a bit to do with that. I think you need him to get back to where you're at. You were about to start saying something like, you need him to get to where he was, but I just wanted to make sure that context was there a little bit for that real rough stretch.
I just think it was twofold. Baby born.
Both things can be true.
Not sleeping a lot, and he was getting overused. The same way that we saw with Makar, where there's a reason guys don't average 30 minutes a night. There's a reason that this is not a model for success in the NHL. Because you just have to save too much, especially with the Avs, where they want to be They
gas,
want their
gas,
defenders
gas all the time. Yeah.
They want their defenders attacking and activating on offense. And you saw for 2 or 3 weeks there, Devon Toews and Cale Makar didn't do anything on offense except rim the puck around, maybe switch positions out high. There was none of the jumping into the empty ice. There was none of the attacking on the back door. There was none of the stuff that really makes them so dynamic that it's obvious they were saving something in the gas tank because they knew they had to play 30 minutes. And so they weren't expending that little extra bit of energy. So both of those things, I think, they happen at the same time. And so I think it's no surprise that Toews got a couple of games to chill out a little bit on ice time. No Makar, and he said, all right, I'm going to refocus on, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do my thing. Played 27 minutes. That's fine. I think those extra couple of minutes make all the difference in the world. That's an extra couple of shifts in a game. He doesn't have to worry about taking. He can just take off and do whatever. Rest up, just hang out on the bench, watch a video, talk to Andreas Englund, do whatever he wants. I don't care. Well, but he's just the Calgary version of Toews, what we saw a couple nights ago. That's what they need. That's what they expect. That's who he needs to be.
Well, and AJ, to your point, so like when I talked to Cale about this and he mentioned using 7D, it makes such a big difference for Makar and Toews. And I know when you're talking about it, obviously I think it was the Detroit game, like Cale didn't even break 20 minutes, so that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But to your point, AJ, when there's still 25 minutes or north of that, it's amazing what a difference just those 4 or 5 minutes make. Yeah. Think about it of like if you have, like a power bar or a health bar, and that has to last you the entire time, no matter how many shifts you take. So if you can exert a little bit more energy on each one, knowing that you don't have to save it for the last 5 minutes of the game.
Anybody that's played video games with a stamina bar involved knows there's a conservation element to it.
Right.
You can't just go out there and hold turbo the entire time.
Right. Yeah. If you don't have unlimited turbo, you can't just hold it the whole time. You have to pick your spots when to use it.
We've talked about this on a smaller scale about Logan O'Connor's effectiveness too. Yeah. That when he plays 15 minutes a night, he's less effective.
Because he can't go 110%.
Yeah, because he's not going all out there and just all in.
He can only go 100%. He can't go 120. And that is the difference between good Logan O'Connor and...
He hasn't scored a goal in 30 games, Logan O'Connor.
Right.
You keep bringing Logan O'Connor into the mix when we talk about depth guys not performing like Kaut and Myers, and I get frustrated because the role that Logan O'Connor plays is so much bigger than Kaut or Myers.
It's a lot bigger.
He's a PK specialist. He's trusted in that role, and he's so good on that side of the puck. Like, Newhook finds his scoring because it is a Logan O'Connor and a Cogliano type applying heavy pressure on the forecheck that it's just like they don't belong in the same breath. And I just want to throw a little respect on Logan O'Connor's name. Like, we could separate him from the Kaut and the Myers conversation, and we can bring up the fact that he hasn't scored, but he does so much more in addition to scoring.
Yeah, nobody's trying to get rid of that guy.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about moving that guy to the AHL or being like, well, we can live without him.
I'm just
Absolutely not.
So here's, I mean,
no value lost there.
I'm a huge LOC guy. I love the way he played. I'm a huge LOC guy. The only part of it that does suck is, and I've said it 1,000 times, he's literally this much skill shy of being like a 15 and 15 guy, middle six regularly. And I wish so badly for him he could do it because he puts himself in so many positions to score. And I think because, again, Megan, like I'm totally with you. I'm a huge Logan O'Connor. I'm a huge fan of the way he plays.
He has very well-earned assists in that time that he has not scored a goal.
Wait, he what?
He has very well-earned assists.
Yes, yeah. But it's just
his forecheck and the playmaking, some of the things that he does.
It was the same.
Have led to important goals.
It was the same frustration I had with Matt Calvert.
More Matt Nieto than Matt Calvert.
Yeah, way more Matt Nieto.
I've never seen someone create more breakaways for themselves that they don't even get a shot off on than Matt Calvert. Great dude. That dude created out of thin air a breakaway every game and did nothing.
Matt Nieto had multiple penalty shots.
Yeah,
he did have multiple penalty shots.
The thing
those did not go well.
With Matt Nieto, he got to the red line and he went, "This is not going in."
Yeah. He's like, "Is there anybody to pick up this rebound so I can shoot it off this guy's pad?"
And like again, that's the part that's tough for them is all three of those guys we're talking about, Logan O'Connor, Matt Nieto, Matt Calvert, they're all this far off from being like really high contributing forwards.
Super important role for what they do, though.
Yep. Yeah.
And LOC has been by far the most valuable of those bottom six guys.
100%. And like, honestly,
Day in, day out, reliability,
Yep.
everything. Because you
Yep.
see with Andrew Cogliano, he drives me crazy. He's making like massive mistakes that a guy his age shouldn't be making. LOC's not doing any of that.
well, then not to mention, dude, I don't think, and not that it's like that, but like what you get out of Logan O'Connor for $1 million a year for still multiple years after this, like in this market, all day long.
I think he's fairly compensated.
So
I think if he hit UFA today, he'd push
someone would
1.5 to 2.
Someone would overpay him.
Yeah.
for sure.
I mean, Nico Sturm got $2 million.
Yeah, which is
so.
insane.
If you had to have Logan O'Connor and Nico Sturm, who would you take?
Ooh.
Logan O'Connor, I think. AJ never with a straight answer. You give him two options and he never picks one.
I'm with you. I would take LOC. I think he brings more.
Well, I think he's just a better fit for the Avs.
Yeah.
The speed and the tenacity,
His
that
speed,
stuff.
fuck
Like
yeah.
that's like perfect Avs.
The Avs do have a game tomorrow against Seattle, which is kind of a scheduled loss. Does that make tonight a bit of a must-win for them?
Yes, definitely. This is the one that decides how good this road trip is.
Not wrong.
All in agreement?
You win tonight, you can live with a scheduled loss tomorrow.
Yeah, you don't care about tomorrow's result. If you
You
win,
lose
you're
tonight.
thrilled. You lose, you're whatever.
You lose tonight, that scheduled loss now becomes a must-win. Win tonight takes the pressure off tomorrow.
Don't get swept by Vancouver, for the love of God.
Sneaky
A team that's trying
factor.
to fire its coach and can't. Like,
It's super weird. Sneaky factor in Devon Toews' play. You have the baby, you go on the road. You don't have to sleep with the crying baby. You sleep a little better. You play a little better on the road.
It's not the worst theory you've ever had.
I've had some pretty bad theories. It's true.
I wasn't going to call him out, but
Let's get to Blaze's bets quickly here, and then we'll jump into the game. It's too big. Avs to
Blazers
cover.
bets, too big,
Too big to handle.
too hard.
To cover plus 160. That's pretty good money against a team that's in shambles like Vancouver right now.
Yeah.
McKinnon anytime goal scorer plus 120. Feel good about that. Mikko at the plus 1.5 points. Got to do Mikko things to get plus 135. If those bottom two bets hit, I think the top bet's probably going to hit. Put it that way.
yeah.
Take care of business. Beat these bums.
Yeah, I
Vancouver
agree.
sucks.
Jesse and I were talking before the show. Like, they really should just beat this team's brains in, right? Like
they've got some good players. That's
Don't-
great. Your players are better. Go beat them.
don't leave it up to chance here. Just go win a hockey game. We are brought to you, of course, by DraftKings. Use the DNVR code when you sign up. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only. Other terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. See the show notes down below for details. Yeah. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's such a Serena.
Oh yeah.
What's
What?
that?
Nothing.
What'd she say?
What'd you say?
She's such a Serena.
I,
Gossip Girl. I'm
I
kidding.
wish I knew what that meant.
yeah.
I don't know whether to be offended or not.
It first of all, compliment. Huge compliment.
I don't know. You stumbled pretty hard on that. You're like, compliment. That doesn't. And AJ's face tells me it's not a good thing.
I don't think it's a compliment.
What?
Nah. Serena's the worst.
Dude, in these shows, I'm the NPC in the background that just like gives out a quest to go find something,
Hell yeah.
and then
Yeah,
is
you
never
know, Gossip
mentioned
Girl is
again.
famous for their Quest episodes.
Obsessed with that.
We're gonna get out of here. The game is about to start. No watch along. Unfortunately, we have the crossover with the Nuggets, so also my voice needs it. You can probably tell it's still terrible, but we'll be a watch along for tomorrow's game, and before that, we will be back for post game. So be sure to tune in as we break it all down for you. We appreciate all y'all, and we will see you after the game.